The Connection Show. Inspiring hope. Health. Healing. Sponsored by Braveheart Workshops. Live with Jill Reynolds. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like our page. Share it. Subscribe to it now and click the bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming shows.
The Connection Show, inspiring hope, health, and healing, sponsored by Braveheart Workshops, live with Jill Reynolds. And joining me today is Ducon Williams. Welcome to the show, Ducon.
Thank you so much, Jill. I'm excited to be here.
Well, we're glad you could jump in. I know we both have had a crazy couple of days. I'm going to let the audience know a shortened version of your bio before we begin. So, Ducon Williams is a writer, a director, a producer, composer, and an actor in the film industry. He grew up in a Christian home and started the filmmaking journey in 2008 when he produced, directed, edited, and starred in The Search, which was a feature film set during the French and Indian War. He went on and did other things too, but we're going to pause there for a moment, take a commercial break from our sponsor, MyPillow, and then we're going to deep dive into Ducon's life to share more. So be right back with you, okay, Ducon?
Sounds great. Thank you.
All right. Take care. We'll be right with you, folks. Welcome to the Connection Show, sponsored by Braveheart Workshops, live with Jill Reynolds. MyPillow, our show's featured affiliate partner, thanks you for your support. Stand with Mike Lindell by shopping at MyPillow. To receive a free gift, make sure you use the promo code Braveheart when you check out and receive up to 66% off select items. MyPillow guarantees the most comfortable pillow you'll ever own. Drop into mypillow.com/Braveheart today. To check out faster, use your cell phone to scan the QR code and click on the website now to order. Go to mypillow.com/Braveheart and order today. Well, welcome back again. So we are so glad that you're joining us today with the Connection Show. And joining me again is Ducon Williams. So Ducon, on the Connection Show, we love the audience to be able to hear stories about our different guests' lives so that they can connect the dots of your story with their own, hoping to look for similarities in your story with their own. So with that, we're hoping that you'll be transparent with us and take us on a journey back into your childhood, if you will, and share with us any of the blessings, the good things, and some of the hardships maybe and pains or struggles you've gone through where God's taken hold of your life and transformed you into who you are today.
I'd love to. Thank you for the opportunity. I guess I'll start a little bit with my childhood. I grew up in a very large family. My mom and dad, very devout Christians that taught me and my brothers and sisters a lot of good values and made sure that we had our fair share of punishments when we didn't rise up to those values, when we didn't keep the standards that they set for us. There were several life-changing events that I went through as a young person. I think one of them was at 5 years old, then I had my head squished between two vehicles. Mm-hmm. And there was a car that hit the back bumper, hit my head. And then there was a parked truck that hit the other side. And it would have crushed my head completely had not a ball hitch been installed on that car the day before. Mm. And my parents always told me that God has a special work for me to do in this life. I've nearly drowned 3 times and have been on the brink of death several different times throughout my life. So it's been very, very important to me looking at those and believing what my parents had told me to try to understand that God has a purpose for all of us, and that he's not going to let us leave this life until we fulfilled the measure of our creation and fulfilled the purpose that he has for us. A lot of different events led to where I am today, and I'll just briefly touch on those. My parents did go through a divorce over religious conflict rather than not getting along. And those things happen, and it allowed me to have a.
What type of religious conflict did they go through, if you wouldn't mind sharing?
Just different churches, just wanting to be part of different churches. And I think my dad's experience is just, he got a little weary with how some of the churches functioned and kind of withdrew. And my mom felt like it was very important that her children at least have a congregation that they can go to, and that they have a good social group that shares the values. And she was pushing hard for that. And he was doing some soul searching as to where to take the family. And long story short, they just separated over that, but they stayed friends, really good friends. And I've had a lot of good conversations with them growing up that have allowed me to get a lot of good perspective about the world at large and the Christian worldview.
You know, I'm so grateful you brought that up, because so many times we don't understand the differential that families go through. And I for one, remember raising my son as a single mom, Ducon. And I remember at some point in his life, he said, "Mom, can we please go to St. Peter's Lutheran Church?" Because that's where he went to school. And all of his friends that went to school with him, they belonged to that church. Well, my son and I went to Willow Creek Community Church, which was a large, mega, non-denominational church. And he kept telling me, "But Mom, I don't like that progressive." He goes, "I like the hymns and I like the traditional church." And I kept saying, no, no, no. And I think, I look back upon that as a mom today and realize that I should have taken more heed to what his needs were as a child, because as a parent, I was to raise him loving the Lord, and I kept trying to push my agenda onto him.
Which is a very easy thing to do. I have to check myself as a parent quite often to make sure that I'm not pushing too much of myself onto them. And to just be, when I'm certain of something, certain principles that I know will bless their lives, I'm a little more adamant that they learn it for themselves. But if I'm uncertain, that's where I have to check myself and say, okay, I'm not quite sure if this is the right approach. And I'm learning to love my children a little more and condemn them less.
Yeah. So continue on then with the story. So Mom and Dad went through the divorce over the basis of the churches. And then what else? What else did you guys go through then as a result of some of that?
Well, I flipped and flopped between parents for the next 3 years. And I was 14 years old when I basically left home from both parents to come to work with my brother. And that's what actually got me here in the state of Missouri, about 2.5 hours north of Branson. And after working with him, there was just a lot of like-minded Christian people that were good people. And we had a peculiar instance come up when one day we're just visiting in a home, and some of my friends were talking about how awesome their sister's story is about the French and Indian War, and how it would be so cool if somebody would make it into a movie. And up to this time, I had never pressed the record button on a video camera in my life. And somebody brought that up, and some people were asking, why would we make a movie of that? For some reason, it just came out. I said, why not? And the next week, I spent all the money I had on a video camera, and got her story and started working on a feature film. And after it was complete, I realized something. I realized that it may not be what some people would call a gift. That could sound arrogant, but what I mean is I realized that God made me capable of doing this kind of stuff. And slowly, I realized that this is a great teaching tool. Filmmaking is a fantastic teaching tool. And after analyzing Hollywood and their tactics and the world at large and the things that they put in the media, I realized that not only do we have the ability to make something good, we have the responsibility to make something good. Society goes the way that we steer them as human beings. And media is one of the most powerful teaching tools out there, for good or for bad. And I just started to realize, my responsibility in this world is actually to help people learn good principles that will actually create a better, healthier society. And so that's what actually led me into the journey of making Christian film.
And what type of work or business did your brother have that you moved to Missouri? What was it that you guys were doing before this inspiration hit you?
We were doing construction, building homes.
Building homes. So completely out of the ordinary of you wanting to, or you feeling led by God to pick up this camera. And I love that little children's song, "Be careful, little eyes, which you see, careful what you hear, and be careful what you touch," because, the Father up above will, bless it or it won't be. And so you're right with media. You have to be really careful of what you put out there, what kids and what adults will listen to and hear and see. And so that's what came to me when you were saying about how media is so influential.
Absolutely. I love that song too. In fact, from time to time when we're driving to church, me and the kids will sing it together.
Yeah. So you made this first movie and this documentary. And so take us on a journey of what came next.
About 4 or 5 short films where I was really just trying to hone my skills. And none of them really stood out to me. So I didn't really share them very much, just with friends. It wasn't on a professional level by any means, because I thought all the professionals were in California. I just lived out in the woods and just asked the neighbors if they wanted to help make something. And none of us were professional, including myself. And
that first film that you made, it was called The Search, right? The Search?
Yeah. Yes.
Now, I know this is a personal question. You don't have to tell, but with it being your first film and you saying that you invested whatever little bit of money you had, was there any rewards as far as financial from it, or was it just the experience of doing it? Did any of the money you put in come back as a result yet, or was it just one of those, you invested it and started feeling like that was something you were supposed to do?
Right. It was, well, to be honest with you, it wasn't something that I felt like I was supposed to do first. But long story short, I didn't get anything back, but I considered it the money that I paid into it and the time I put into it tuition for the school of learning film.
Okay. All right. So then you made the other short films, and then where did that take you next?
Actually, interesting story. My dad had written some stories that he had written a trilogy of screenplays that got the attention of somebody that worked for Paramount. And I went out west to work with him on that because we were working with a producer trying to get the funding on it and actually move forward with it. And we were going to help make the trilogy. But what ended up happening there is we had a cast wish list, and the producer invited us to reach out to the cast that we knew and see if they were available, what their price would be, and if they're interested. And my cast wish list included some big names. So when he says reach out to them and see what their availability is, I reached out to the big name ones. And he didn't know I was doing that. And long story short, they started asking questions and asked if it was funded. And we asked the producer, and he sounded like it was funded. So we told him, sounds like it's funded. And one of the, what do they call those guys? One of the actor agents from Tommy Lee Jones called up Paramount and says, hey, is this a real thing? Is this movie happening? And they were like, let's get back with you on that. Wow. And long story short, our company needed a scapegoat to resign for doing that. So it could move forward, and we weren't in trouble with Paramount for leaking out any kind of information they weren't comfortable with. So I was pretty devastated at the time because I volunteered to basically take the fall for it. But within the week, God put in my heart an entirely new story that was completely separate from Hollywood and the things that they push. And that was Vincent's Vow. It was a story about defining love in a very narrative way. It's not a documentary at all. It was a story that you could observe. A young man that's completely clueless as to what love is, but thinks that he knows what it is, and gets challenged to learn what it is before he claims that he actually loves somebody. And he takes that challenge, and the journey is just an incredibly different thing for him.
So you made that, and how did that one turn out for you?
Well, I had met some professionals in the state of Missouri, and I was really excited. So I tried to reach out to some professionals and got a co-producer and a wonderful director of photography, and David Watson. And just it turned out really, really nice. It could have been better. And as a filmmaker, I'll always say that it could have been better. There's things I could have done, but I promise you, I'm very satisfied with it. That's considering awesome. Everything we went through.
So the trilogy then, that was so important even for your family, because your dad was part of it. What happened to that? Did Paramount take the rights to that away from you?
The producer that was working with us actually got arrested for opioid use, unfortunately. And that kind of shut down the direction we were going with it. My dad would still like to see it made.
But it belongs to you. They didn't take, you still have, that's your possession, is it not?
It belongs to my dad, so
Okay.
It is his possession.
Okay.
And he still holds the rights to it, which is good. But I don't want to make him feel bad, but it doesn't have enough Christian values for me to actually want to take part in it. I actually view me getting in trouble with Paramount as God's blessing for me, because if that hadn't have happened, I never would have made Vincent's Vow and probably wouldn't be as involved in the Christian film industry as I am.
So now what you're on a new journey with a new film, are you not?
I'm working on one, yes.
And what is that one called?
The one I've got one called Silencing the Devil. It's a short, about 13 minutes long. We've got it filmed and edited. We're just working on color and music right now. And I'm currently on page 65 of a new Western script that I'm working on as well. That will be a feature.
I've really enjoyed 1883. Did you get into the 1883 with Faith Hill and I'm going blank on her husband, and I know his name. Help me.
McGraw.
Thank you, Tim McGraw. That was a great Western. Great Western. Great.
I watched it, and it was well done.
Yeah, it was very well done. So you're coming to Branson, I understand, for the film festival that we're going to be having this weekend, are you not?
That's correct, yes.
And will Vincent's Row or any of your films be featured there, or are you going to be part of that? Or
Thursday night, Vincent's Vow will be playing in a theater,
okay.
And my understanding is that there will be a Q&A afterwards. I think it starts at 6:30 p.m. Thursday night, if I'm not mistaken.
And so people will be able to come and meet you in person and
Yes.
watch the film. And I know they're doing some awards too on Saturday night. So that will be an exciting time. So what are you doing for a career now? Are you still in construction, or are you basically just doing the filmmaking? Or that's probably hard to keep your family alive, right?
It is hard to keep my family alive. In fact, I think it's quite impossible for me to do filmmaking right now and do that. I am in construction still. I'm actually managing my brother's construction company, and that's what pays the bills. I would prefer to be filmmaking, but it's a slow process to get it to where it accumulates enough revenue to provide for my family.
Mm-hmm.
But Vincent's Vow has global distribution now, and we're expecting some returns on that very soon.
Yeah, and I don't think people really understand. Maybe you can talk about it a little bit about once you've come up with a film idea. Can you walk us through the gruesome process of getting funding to make the film? That's the most unfun part of it all, isn't it?
It is. It's the most unfun part of all, and what I can say is prayer is the biggest key I'll just talk a little bit about what happened because I tried crowdfunding and found out I was horrible at it. I think I ended up raising 1,800 is all for a feature film through crowdfunding. But I had made a sizzle trailer to kind of show the concept of the film to try to garner interest in a potential investor. And I thought I wasn't getting the funding after the crowdfunding deal. And a man calls me up one day and says, I want to talk to you. I saw your trailer. So I went down and sat with him. And he says, you know, I didn't know why God gave me or helped me make so much money this last year until I saw your sizzle trailer. Now I know what I'm supposed to do with it. And he put out $68,500 in investment money to help make Vincent's Vow. And that's just one of many, many stories that can happen. But it was a result of prayer. It was a result of I had spent $1,700 of my own money making the sizzle trailer because I wanted it to look professional. Took time to pay my actors and my crew, very little, but what I could. And I think what it did was it introduced the concept of the movie in a good way, but it also showed that we were professional enough to put out a technically good product. And my recommendation would be to not think that your story is the only thing that's going to attract an investor. Mm-hmm. Definitely get with some people who know what they're doing. Try to make sure that you take care of them. And don't be afraid to make some sacrifices along the way, because those sacrifices will reap the rewards. In fact, that's a biblical teaching. And if you watch Vincent's Vow, you'll find out very quick.
That's amazing. So I saw you have some little ones in the background. How many children are on your home?
I've got 3 and 1 on the way.
Oh my goodness. And how old are the ones that are there now?
8, 6, and 3.
Oh boy. So you have a full house.
I do.
and a very busy wife, right? A very, very busy wife.
Oh, yes.
And
she has to keep up with me.
And I see you're putting an addition on the home in order to have room for everyone, huh?
That's correct.
That's amazing. So if you wouldn't mind, if you're willing to take us back for a moment, to the story of the car accident, the crushing. So what developed after that happened to you? What was the manifestation of your head and the injuries that you sustained?
Well, I don't know if you can tell, but I have a fairly skinny face, and my baby pictures don't indicate it was always that way. But ultimately, I lost my memory of everything that happened before, everything in my lifetime that happened before that event. I don't remember except for when the event was happening. And
how old were you when it took place?
I was 5 years old.
Okay.
And in the aftermath, once I was healed up, nobody talked to me about brain damage. Unless they talk about it amongst themselves and just haven't told me I've had some brain damage. But everything turned out fine. And really, I just had to take my parents' word for it, that these things happen. And when your life is preserved because a ball hitch was stuck on a car the day before, that's God and guardian angels looking out for you. And it's because you're not done with your life yet. You've got things that God wants you to do. And they encourage me, find out what those are and do them because you want to be able to go to the judgment bar at the end of the day and say, I did everything that I could to glorify your name.
So how did you get between these two cars? Do you know? Has anyone told you? Because you can't remember.
I do remember what happened. Me and my brother were playing in an old station wagon that was in our driveway that was parked on a hillside. And children sometimes play with things they shouldn't. And he managed to put it in gear, in neutral. It was a stick shift. And I'm in the back of the car. And it starts rolling backwards. And in a panic, he started pushing other buttons and was able to pop the back open. And I rolled out of the car onto the ground with it still rolling backwards as well. And I remember thinking, if I don't get up, I'm going to get run over. And so I get to my feet as fast as I can, just in time for the bumper to hit me. And I put my hands against it and it's pushing me backwards. And I tripped again and started to get up again to get out of the way. And the bumper hit the one side, and then there was a parked truck to this side, and it just went just like that and crammed me up there. But the ball hitch.
And the car stopped. Thankfully, it didn't.
And the car stopped. Yeah,
Wow.
the ball hit the other truck, and it just had just enough space that it didn't completely crush my head.
Wow, that's amazing. And then talk about the drownings. What happened there? How did you almost drown 3 times?
I'm not even entirely sure what happened. Maybe I just panic easy when I know it's over my head, and I don't even remember hardly what happened. Just that I couldn't get above water.
And was these 3 separate occasions or one?
They were.
And how are you with water today?
I can't swim.
I've got something for you. You will fall in love with. We'll share it off screen.
I'd love that.
You'll love it. My best friend teaches a course called Miracle Swimming, and she's amazing. It is the most amazing thing ever.
I'm sold on the name.
Yeah. Yes, you'll love it. You'll love it. So I'll share that with you. Well, it has just been such a privilege to meet you, and you'll be here on Thursday, right? You'll be in Branson Thursday.
Yeah.
So
and I'll have a vendor table, and I'll have DVDs of Vincent's Vow there for sale if people want them, and I'm looking forward to it.
That's amazing. Well, I want to switch over here to your bio for just a second. So here, this is Ducon's bio and his website or his email. He's got 2 emails here that you can reach out to him. His website's under construction here as we speak because he's building an addition on his house right now. And
That's correct.
So, and then I'm going to show you the film flyer. You can still get tickets to the film festival by going to bransonfilmfestival.com. Tickets are still available. The tickets for 3 days are only $50 to be at the entire event, to see all the films, meet the filmmakers, the screenwriters, everyone. So go to the website today and get your tickets so that you can come to this amazing event in Branson, Missouri, which will be Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, April 21st to 23rd at the Copeland Theater on Gretna in Branson. So thank you so much, Ducon, for joining us. We're just so privileged to meet you, and I can't wait to meet you in person on Thursday.
That feeling is mutual, Jill. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone, for joining the Connection Show. Have a wonderful day. Bye, Ducon.
Goodbye, Jill.
Thanks for joining us today on the Connection Show, where we bring you stories that will transform your life. The Connection Show would appreciate your support. Please go to either our Patreon page or our PayPal Me Now link today. We love our podcast show guests and appreciate our listeners and YouTube subscribers. Please go to our YouTube channel called The Connection Show and Braveheart Workshops and subscribe now. Remember to click the gray bell in the All tab so you don't miss any upcoming episodes.